Welcome back to the Xuan character reviews. The Outer Realm, and now it's the turn for Jack. Jack is the first and so far the only true weapon user of this game, and I mean a character that uses a single weapon as his main form of attack. I have to admit, I was at first a little worried about this character, as I consistently hate swordsmen jumping into street fighting games. I have always considered that to be really hateful, but in Jack's case, things were really not bad. First, let's go with his design. There are many people saying he reminds them of Dante from Devil May Cry, and it's very hard to disagree with that statement. He uses a sword, has white hair, and a colored trench coat, those three being Dante's signature gimmicks, so the inspiration is very clear. Well, Jack's color palette can be a little odd, but it looks just fine within the game. I think the pants are cool and this very off color helps him. The rest of his clothes are extra tight and very synthetic looking, almost high-tech. I particularly liked these patches on his pants that sort of continue with the straps on the boots, that at the same time connect with the ones on his gloves, and then with his belt, and then with his shoulder, so it's a sleek package which looks just right and brings an aspect of coolness without dismissing ridiculously cool elements like the trench coat. In game, this fighter is pretty stylish, and I bet he doesn't engage in physical battle often, as his sword is powerful enough to give him a quick victory. On top of that, he has teleporting abilities. I wouldn't be surprised if the usage of this floating cape actually comes in handy, because he can use it to confound his enemy as he reappears. Jack's facial features are pretty odd. He has a very bitter face and expression. His skin is extremely pale and his hair is sparse and perhaps too light. Very weird facial features. I think he is missing the eyebrows. He sort of reminds me of an eagle because of his watching eyes. A couple of his attacks in the games actually refers to birds, like he is a bird of prey, which reminds you to falconry, another very British discipline in Middle Ages. Did I mention this character is an Englishman? So his facial features might be a reference to a very British choleric temperament. I think it's really fine as it helps to bring more variety to the game in the physique aspect. The character also has a certain northern connection, as I think his stepfather's name is Odin, so he could be a reference to Vikings and the usage of the sword to a northern god or a Viking warrior. Perhaps not. You can also tie Jack's knightly style to King Arthur and the Britons naturally. He shows some good sportsmanship in his quotes with a stereotypical but very cool British accent.
To you, I must be the devil.
He is constantly making boats,
I will never give up.
citing poetry,
The flag is still. The wind is calm. It is the heart of man that does not rest.
and insulting their opponent's pride.
You are not worthy as my opponent.
I find it just right, as it fits very well the idea of an old-styled English fencer, or any kind of European swordsman for the case. So he helps to bring a more global flavor to the roster. As for the lesser gimmicks on his design, along with the open shirt that makes his chest visible, that I think looks pretty good, he carries a cross necklace, again very much like Dante. And the other important part is that he wears a scouter on his eye. Why? I have no idea. It's pretty clear they try to give him a more high-tech look, and plot-wise I suspect it's what gives him his teleporting abilities. In my opinion, I find it pretty ridiculous looking, but if I'm right with the teleport thing, then at least it's justified. It's also at least a highlight on the character's design and it helps to make it look less plain. And about his alternate costume, this robotic suit goes to explore a little more the high-tech aspect. It kind of not completely fits the character or his background, but the original costume doesn't make sense exactly, other than being a Dante ripoff. And so, as this alternate costume is essentially a knockoff of Raiden from Metal Gear, but costumes are mostly fanservice, I have to say this costume looks awesome in the game, with the light effects, and overall is pretty cool and detailed, so there's no need to complain about it, and you can show off and impress your opponents with it. A luxury for Jack players, but I personally prefer the nightly flavor of his original costume over this. Now for the gameplay. The first thing I like is that, unlike other swordsmen from other games, who are nimble and have extremely good reach and priority along with very reduced hitboxes, Jack feels clunkier. You can feel the weight of the sword in the control, as his special attacks and attacks in general take a little time to take off, and he's repelled after they are blocked or pushes the opponent back. So even if he has an extended range with his attacks, the sword has its disadvantages. What is the fair thing in my opinion, unlike those little girls with swords in other fighting games that I just can't tolerate. Jack's special moves add nicely visual coolness to the character. That blue misty effect of the vacuum attacks and teleports is way too cool. His place also surrounded by thunder. There's also an extra color detail in the form of a red shine as he charges his sword to the max, plus a cool blurry shockwave effect, and it looks very nice although it's a rather minor element. Jack's actual game style looks inspired in Psyche from KOF, but not that much, and I mean because of the teleports that are fairly cool and makes him available to perform some extremely awesome maneuvers. I like the air sword too. But the teleports are perhaps a little too good, so he's kind of broken when it comes to balance. He has some other interesting subsystems here and there. My favorite is charging his sword to extend and improve his combos. So Jack has a really pronounced game style. There is one way to play this character, and nothing else. But overall he's enjoyable to use and really effective, if a little hard to master. So no biggie here. What to say about his personality? Jack is shown as a very bitter guy, and I mean, he looks angry every time. But that's perhaps for the kidnapping of his mentor. As I said, he has the nightly vibe of him, but it's also said that he's a professional thief or something like that, selling things in black market, and he's even working undercover for an intelligent agency. His morality is ergo very bleak, but it seems he was still raised with some code of honor. Next to Claire, he is the second British character in the game, but is very important because he is an enemy of the Funk family and thus he is Claire's enemy indirectly. I'm very interested in seeing how this ends up. In the end, Jack is a nice character and yet another good addition for the game. Even if his design comes out a little off, grey and unattractive, one could say he at least has a very distinctive style and personality. The gameplay is a good alternative for those who like complex characters and expands even more the concept of the game with his high-tech slash nightly swordman mix. See you next time to check out another character of the game, and thanks for watching.
You are not worthy as my opponent.